All right, welcome to Yes and Land, where we say yes to acknowledge what difficulties you've been experiencing, the things that you've got going on in your life, and we also say and to starting the next chapter or to moving past the difficult trials that we face in life with a renewed sense of hope, of wonderment, of joy as we build for our futures and try to create the lives that we want. Today, we have a wonderful guest on our show today, Miriam with the South Valley Chamber of Commerce. She is the Director of Marketing for the South Valley Chamber. She is also a past participant in the Disney College program, which is why I'm very excited to have her on today so we can talk a little bit about her experiences there, her love for Disney that we share in common, and to learn from her a little bit about her journey, what got her to where she's at, different things she's experienced and learned along the way. So welcome, Miriam. So glad to have you on.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. This is awesome.
So what I want to start out is just a little bit more about you. So tell me also a little bit about you deciding to join the Disney College program and what you kind of did as part of that program.
Yeah. So I had no idea that was even a thing until COVID hit. And I was stuck in my room and I was supposed to be doing homework and I was on YouTube and a video popped up talking about the Disney College program. And I was like, what is that? And basically it's, for people who don't know what it is, it's a program that Disney hosts college students from all across the country and even all around the world to come work at Walt Disney World. And so I was like, yeah, I want to do that. Are you kidding? I grew up in Southern California. Disneyland is like my second home, but I never got to go to Disney World as a kid. And so I was like, yeah, this seems like the most affordable way to go to Disney World. Let me give you 6 months of my life. And it was honestly the best experience ever. My role at Disney was in merchandise, and I worked at World of Disney in Disney Springs. And World of Disney, fun fact, is the largest Disney store in the entire world. Every Disney park, the one in Orlando, Florida, is the largest.
It's huge.
It's massive.
Like you walk in, you're like, this store is humongous. I can't believe the volume of things that they have here. And you can find like almost anything in that store.
Emphasis on almost anything. My biggest tip that I tell people is the first day you land in Orlando, you go to Disney Springs, you go to World of Disney, and you walk around and you look. You don't buy anything. You go to the parks, you go have a great time, but you look at all the merch in the parks. If you see something in the parks that wasn't in Disney World, buy it then. And then come to World at the end if you saw something that you saw at the beginning of your trip, but you missed out on in the parks. Because a lot of people will be like, oh, I'll just go get it at World of Disney at the end of my trip. And then we're like, ooh, we don't have it. And it becomes a really awkward situation. But
for sure,
honestly, World of Disney is so fun and it's near and dear to my heart. That program was so fundamental in how it just kind of shaped the rest of my career and where I'm at now.
Tell me about like when you first start, like did they take you through some kind of like onboarding or training or something like that? And with that, I know that a lot of times the employees that are public facing are called cast members. Were you guys cast members as well in merch?
Yep. So I was a Disney cast member. I went through, I think it was like about 2 weeks of training. And you can tell when a cast member is new because they will have a little red tag attached to their name tag that says earning my ears. And so, fun fact, if you want to keep an eye out for those new cast members who are in training. And it's a really big deal when you earn your ears. Like a lot of people will like go meet with Mickey Mouse and like have a little moment with Mickey and say that you earned your ears and that makes you an official cast member and you're allowed to work on your own. But it was a really fun process.
What was one of your biggest takeaways from the 2 weeks of training that you guys did? Like, what was it that like struck a chord or something that you're like, oh, that's actually like super interesting or helpful?
I think the biggest thing for me was how safety oriented Disney is. Obviously, when you think of Disney, you think of happy, magic, smiles, fun time. But the number one priority of Disney is safety. And even in merchandise where you're like, what could go wrong? You're hugging stuffed animals all day. We had a couple scary instances where safety had to be a number one priority in our location, in our store. And I was a former lifeguard, and so safety has always kind of been a very big deal to me. But it was interesting seeing that in every aspect of what Disney does, safety is at its core.
That's huge. And that makes sense. When I think one of the reasons why they probably do a great job is because when you're a guest there, that doesn't smack you in the face. Like, oh man, all they're worried about is safety. They've created an environment that you can get immersed in, but knowing, especially from your perspective, that like that is like the number one priority. Like, oh, okay, well, it makes sense, right? They're actually trying to do the things to keep their guests safe, create a magical experience, but also make sure that they're safe every step along the way. That is really insightful.
Yeah, safety with a smile.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the heart of what we do.
Love it. So you finished the Disney College program, and then you ended up getting your degree?
Yep. So I got a degree in journalism from Utah State University. I graduated in May of 2025 and then immediately jumped into an internship with the city of South Jordan on their communications team.
Okay, so if anybody watches or listens and is not from Utah, you might not understand this question, but I always have to ask anytime I hear about an Aggie graduate, which is, are you a true Aggie?
I am a true Aggie.
She's a true Aggie. Okay, if you don't know, you just got to look it up, all right? You just got to look it up. I am not. I didn't go to Utah State. My sister did, and I've got lots of friends that did, and wonderful experiences at Utah State. And so I've heard about the lore of the true Aggie. So good to know that you're a true Aggie. So you finished your degree just this year. And what made you decide to have that as your major of journalism?
Yeah, well, fun fact, I actually started college in an interior design program. I thought I was going to design the windows along Main Street, and that was going to be my career. I was very quickly humbled because I had never taken an art class a day in my life, and all of a sudden I was enrolled in the College of Arts and taking 3D design and painting, and I was just not fulfilled because I wasn't passionate about art. I was passionate about design, and I liked the logistics behind it. And so I ended up switching gears, and I was like, what else do I want to do with my life? I'm 18. 18-year-olds, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do with your life. You'll figure it out.
Totally true.
It'll all work out fine. But I'm very logistics oriented. I'm very creative in like a practical sense. And I was like, I'm organized. I can be an event planner. So I looked up what degree goes up with being an event planner, and that's how I found enough journalism.
That's an interesting tie. I would not have guessed that.
You would never put it together, but the specific side of journalism that I'm a part of is public relations, which that's where the event planning comes in.
That does make sense.
So I switched into journalism my sophomore year, and I did one semester of journalism, and then I went to Disney. And then I came back, and I was just thrown into the depths of the journalism world. And I started doing video editing and writing, a lot of social media development. And I was like, this is fun. This is what I'm good at. And I just fell in love with my department and my program and what I was learning about. And I was able to take a lot of the principles of kind of keeping a good face, which plays a lot into public relations, from my time at Disney.
So, let's tie that in. The topic, kind of a conversation we're going to have loosely today is a little bit about emotional intelligence and about communication, right? Effective and clear communication. So as you're deciding to jump into this major and kind of shifting gears from this prior interior design to journalism, tell me about some of the more important lessons you learned on emotional intelligence, on clear communication, and how that plays a role in what you were learning in school and what you've applied in your current role.
Yeah, that is such a good question. I love that. I think at its core, you have to know who you are, and you have to know your strengths, and you also have to acknowledge your weaknesses. And that is something it's not comfortable. Acknowledging what you're not good at is not a comfortable experience. But if you're able to sit with that and know where your power lies, you will find much more success. And that's how it worked. That's how it worked out for me. I'm now the marketing director at the South Valley Chamber of Commerce, which I love and adore. And I cannot say enough good things about that team and about that job. But I have a lot of responsibility, and it's kind of intimidating. I'm, again, freshly out of college, and I'm in charge of a lot of things. And people turn to me. And that is something I never would have expected coming post-grad. But it's been really rewarding. And I've seen a lot of growth in myself and my leadership abilities because I am the youngest person in the room, but I'm also aware that I'm capable and I know what I can do, but I also know where I fall short. I don't have a ton of experience in the professional world. I'm still learning the tricks when it comes to professionalism and networking. That's a big part of what we do. And being able to network with somebody and build a real connection is hard. It's being genuine in networking is something I'm very, very passionate about. If I feel like you just want something from me, or if I just want something from you, that's not a real conversation. Yeah. That's just a pitch. Yeah. And nobody wants to be pitched at. We want to be talked to.
I think that's one of the hardest things about networking, and why early in my career, I just did not like it, because I felt like when I would go to networking events, I was just being pitched all the time. It just so many times it felt like people that were just looking to get something from me, or what could I do for them. And so I was always like, man, this networking thing is not for me. It's for the birds. And over the last 16 years, my perspective has obviously shifted on that, and a little bit more understanding of like what networking can be. And sometimes it's kind of the experience that we want and that we create and what we bring to the table. And I probably wasn't bringing enough to the table, right? I think my emotional intelligence on what networking was lower, because I hadn't done it before. I didn't know. I didn't have somebody really guiding me. So in relation to that, who would you say, or who would you point to that, over the last several years has kind of helped you understand more about like why emotional intelligence is important in, different business interactions, professional interactions, and also, clear and kind communication? Who have you seen or modeled yourself after or learned from in that regard?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think there's a couple people who immediately come to mind. And the first people who came to mind were my professors in college. I had really good relationships with my professors because my department was so small. I knew the professors personally, and they knew who I was. As a student, I was involved with a committee. It's called PRSSA. It's the Public Relations Student Society of America. And we would all go to conferences all around the States. We went to Anaheim. It was so fun. But we all went to Anaheim, and I got to see so many professional interactions. And I just got to see how you make eye contact and you say something genuine and you have a real conversation. So I think watching my professors do that and have relationships with all the students was really impactful. Seeing my fellow students be able to have those interactions and having those interactions myself, I learned little bits and pieces here and there. My internship this summer was really influential in how I am now. And it was a 3-month internship, but I owe a lot to that team. They are so kind and they are so smart, and seeing how they interact with different departments within their own organization was really, really cool, especially in city and government organizations. Being able to work as a team and effectively communicate with all of them is so impressive, because there's a lot of moving parts. And I think I learned a lot from just watching and absorbing my team go through that. And now I'm trying to keep absorbing, obviously, as I'm in this newer role. And the team at the South Valley Chamber is incredible. Like, they are good people, and they are very professional and very with it. Like, they are just good at what they do. And I love just absorbing everything.
Yeah. I've been a member of the South Valley Chamber for a couple of years, but really way more involvement this year as I participated in their Leadership South Valley program. And I got to know Jamie and Jay a lot better this year, because being involved in that and seeing them every month where we go for a full day was really, it was a learning experience for the places we went, but also from them. One of the things that strikes me with Jay is he's a master networker, and for all the right reasons. One of the things that I noticed and just like observing is that we would go places and people would genuinely want to talk to him and be around him. And then my own personal interactions, what I found is like, there's nothing that I can do for him or give to him, right? Like, he's doing this because he likes it. He's had a great career, right? Working for Larry H. Miller, and he's doing this because he likes it. And yet he's always made me feel seen. He's always made me feel like I had a place in the things that we did. And I learned a lot from him in that regard, that like you mentioned about being genuine. And that's what I've gotten from him, is that he's genuinely cares about people. And that's part of why I think he is such a good networker, because he cares and he remembers and he's genuine. And so when we're talking about like emotional intelligence, I think one of the really important things there is exactly what you keyed on, which is being genuine in that emotional intelligence, because understanding the impact on other people when you're genuine can make a difference in your interactions. So when we're talking about, emotional intelligence, talk to me a little bit more about like why maybe that's a topic that you think is important for us to be looking at today, right? Why is that a timely topic that, those who watch or listen to this might find it of particular importance? Why emotional intelligence?
I think in a world that is so technology facing right now, being able to communicate in a human way is what is going to make a difference in the long run. Anybody can open ChatGPT now and write something and create this beautiful, well-written email. But if it's not at its core human or coming from a human place of humanity, it just will glaze over and it won't be memorable. And that's something I really try to focus on. Is at the core of what I do, it is human, but I work in marketing. I'm a one person team. And so sometimes I do have to rely on technology a little bit to kind of close the gap on some things. But at the core, I try to make sure there is humanity and thought behind everything that I do.
Yeah, I've heard it referred to like when people are using AI is that you've got to remove the AI stink, right? Because it exists, right? I know ChatGPT is working hard to adjust the output so that it will eliminate if somebody requests the M dash. You've heard of this, right? You've seen it. And it's always interesting in my own like visceral reaction, like what I experience emotionally when I get an email from somebody and it's just filled with M dashes. Because then I know, right? Mm-hmm. Like who's just using M dash in their regular, like, let me write an email back to you and put an M dash? Nobody.
If you can show me the command to make an M dash, I'll give you $5. I couldn't tell you what it is.
And so because of that, like I get those and I'm like, ugh. Then suddenly it's like, it's not genuine. It's not authentic. Somebody's just plugged this in and now my reaction to reading the email is kind of like, well, I almost disregard it, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, they're not bringing something to the table. I'm not really connecting with this person and what they're sending over to me because they just gave a really probably basic prompt and then just copied and pasted what was there. But I'm also not one to ignore the reality of like, we need to accept that AI is part of reality now. And what you said, I think, is important, which is like we can use it to aid what we're doing, but we've got to then add that personal touch to it still, so it still is genuine, so it still is authentic. And if we prompt correctly, we can go through some iterations and then make sure it's still coming from us, I think we do communicate more effectively.
Yes.
Right? And so I think that is important. So when we talk about marketing, your role in marketing, and the things you're doing on social media, tell me about why emotional intelligence is important in the way that you're doing your marketing, right? In the way that you're showing up on social media.
Yeah, so a big part of my role is making the chamber personable. One of the goals I had when I came onto this position was I wanted the chamber to feel like a community, because at the core, that's what it should be, and that's what it is it's a community of business members who want to grow and who want to connect. And that's a really big part of what we do. And something I've done to really try to focus on that is focus on the people behind. Yes, it's awesome that we had this big event, but look at all these business owners and what they're doing. We had 84 ribbon cuttings in 2025.
My goodness.
It's incredible. The growth and the desire for business in the South Valley is inspiring. And there's a community for people to come to. And I've loved being able to show off those business owners because everybody has such a cool and unique story. And I think it's part of the Chamber's role is to highlight those people and the hard work that they're doing and getting their message out there. So again, that's that human part of me that's like, I don't want to tell the world, hey, you should be a member. Like, yes, you should be a member. But also, if you're a member, look at all of the people you get to interact with. Look at this community that you get to be a part of. The Chamber staff, we're people too. We have careers prior to the Chamber, but we want to help you. And I think shifting that focus from a salesy point of view to more of a we genuinely believe in what we do and we want to help you is really important on our, especially social media presence and our newsletter on our website. And that's something I've been really focusing on.
Yeah, I love that. And when you talk about community, what it reminds me about in talking with a number of different mental health professionals in what I do as a divorce attorney. And I've talked with a number who will talk to me about, like, what are the core human needs? And one of those that I'll always hear is that sense of belonging that we need. And, that's what a community can do, is bring that sense of belonging. I'm interested in your take on, how the community, that sense of belonging, helps the members of the chamber, especially when you have some who might at times be struggling, right? Because that's part of what I'm really passionate about is trying to help people going through something difficult, right? As a divorce attorney, how have you seen the chamber help people with that sense of community, with that sense of belonging, when they've at times struggled, right? Either in their own personal life or struggled with their business where it's not going exactly the way they want. Have you seen anything like having impact on people like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I've seen in my past couple of months is it comes down to the staff. It comes down to the people behind the scenes. We genuinely want the best for our members. I'll shout out Dana, who's our director of member services. She will go above and beyond to make sure that you are being visible on our website and that you are getting the resources you need. And if we don't have the answer, we'll find the answer for you and help you get to the right place. And that comes from a point of caring and wanting to make a difference in those lives. And I think that is something I'm also very biased because I'm proud of this team that I get to work on. And it's just inspiring to see what an impact genuine care can have on an individual.
Because, I think anytime that someone's engaging in any kind of networking group or chamber of commerce or anything like that, to me, one of the huge values there is in that sense of belonging. And when you struggle, you have people that you can talk to. You have people who are there to help support you. Because anybody who's an entrepreneur knows that you don't start a business and all you see is success. It never works that way in the history of ever, right? I don't care how quick the trajectory was for any company in their growth. Like, they will have had difficult times. They'll have had times where they struggled, where it didn't go as expected, or something happened, or there's just unanticipated challenges that come up. And being able to go to a community that will support you through that, even if it's just to hold space, or even if it's just to, talk through things, brainstorm ideas, or even more than that, people who are like genuinely going to like help you with the business and help you attract more clients or, do different things. And that to me is part of what I've actually just personally seen from the chamber. I participated in their Business Accelerated program when I first opened my law firm. I was literally 1 month old in this law firm when I joined their Business Accelerated program, and providing me a lot of the tools and resources as I was getting off my feet, and then also making connections with other business owners in that same vein. And then the leadership South Valley just kind of took it to the next level, where you're rubbing shoulders with, some of the most impressive leaders in the state of Utah, from both public and private sectors, and understanding about the challenges they face, the ways that they are able to encounter those challenges and help support their people. And I just think it really makes a difference in that sense of belonging that you have. The chamber does a great job with those things. So let's transition and talk about one of your favorites, Disney movies, which is Elemental. And let's talk about, let's explore what emotional intelligence and clear communication, what kind of role that played in Elemental. So really, I'm almost going to have you take it from there. Give me the lessons, the life lessons learned from this maybe underappreciated Disney movie.
Yes, that is my Disney hot take, is I really truly believe that Elemental is underrated. It came out at a rough time theaters-wise. It came out in the world of Barbie and Oppenheimer, and it just did not get its chance to shine in theaters. But I went back and watched it, and it is one of the few movies in recent years that Disney has put out that I can rewatch over and over and over again. And I think it's because it's such a powerful and relatable lesson. The main character, Ember, is a fire girl. She is literally made of fire, and she works in her father's shop, and she has a lot of responsibility placed on her. It is a generational thing. Her father immigrated to, I can't even remember what the city's called, but Element City, that's what it's called. Element City, I'm on it. And so she feels like there's a lot of responsibility to put on a good face and be customer oriented. And that does not come naturally to her. We see a lot in the beginning of the film. She has flare-ups. And when a customer is being customer-y, as my people in retail know, people can be kind of silly sometimes when it comes to shopping, and it can get frustrating really fast. And Ember would get frustrated and she'd have to step aside and she'd literally, in a way, blow up, which leads her on a whole other journey of things and meeting Wade, who's made of water. And their story, I think, is really, really powerful. He teaches her through example of how to create connection and listen to other people and meet them where they're at. One of the biggest parts of the movie that I wanted to talk about today was at the basketball air, whatever it's called, game. And Ember is trying to beg this lady not to shut down her shop because they do not meet code. And she's like, give me a chance to fix this. And she starts pitching at this lady in the middle of a basketball game. Now, if someone comes up to me in the middle of a Jazz game and it's an intense game, I do not want to hear about your pitch. I do want to hear who your favorite player on the team is. And I want to hear you cheer for my favorite player too. And that is something that Wade does. He literally creates a wave because of water. And they do a whole wave. And it's beautiful. And Ember is so touched by that because afterwards, that human connection that he had with the air ticket lady, she's like, yeah, I understand. My dad and I used to love watching this together. I understand your relationship with your dad. Let me see if I can help you. And then she helps. And so being able to understand that this is bigger than just what I need, it's understanding where you are and meeting in the middle and being able to create something that is beneficial to both of us from something that you might not initially understand, but that you have to be able to step outside yourself to see that. And I think that boils down back to the emotional intelligence side of things. And
so with that example, I love what you've brought out of that in understanding the nature of relationships and communication. With it, how do you differentiate between somebody who is being genuine, like in this situation, like Wade was, creating the wave, versus somebody who just tries to schmooze, right? Because I think that's what sometimes people are afraid of. Like, is this person just schmoozing me? Like, they really want something from me? Are they schmoozing me? Are they being genuine? Like, how in an emotionally intelligent world, or somebody striving to have that more, how do you differentiate between those? Both when you encounter it, or for you, when you're interacting with other people?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it's hard. It's difficult. No one is saying that it's super easy. I think for me personally, it comes from a strong sense of self and just life experience. The more interactions you have of people being like, yeah, you just want something from me, you can feel it. There's a sense of, I don't know, it's just kind of a gut feeling almost of this person just wants something from me. And that doesn't feel super good versus a conversation of, hey, what do you do for work? I do this. Me too. That's really cool. Why do you like it? And building a relationship and then being like, hey, if you ever want to collaborate on something, let's talk about it. It's a collaboration. It's not a, you give me what I want and maybe I pay you back someday. You'll never know. I think it ultimately comes down to a gut feeling of, yeah, this is a good person. Like, I click with this person. It differs from person to person. Someone might be like, yeah, oh, they just want something from you. And the other person's like, no, that's my best friend. They would never do that. Right. It's all perspective. And you just have to be aware of it, but not fearful of it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think, one of the things for me when I'm encountering somebody for the first time, or I don't know them well and having a conversation, there's always a huge difference in somebody that comes up and talks to me and maybe starts with a question, but then it's always, one-upper, the classic one-upper, or they just talk about themselves a lot, and to me, the best conversations are where there's a really good give and take, and that people are asking curious questions, right? Yes. And to me, that's one of the hallmarks for me of the difference between somebody who's just looking to get something from me or somebody who's actually genuinely interested, right? It's curious questions. Do you know Ted Lasso at all?
A little bit.
Okay, so in Ted Lasso, which I love, we'll talk about that maybe more in another episode, but in Ted Lasso, there's this particular episode that's become pretty famous where basically there's this huge bet that's made based off of this dart game that Ted's going to engage in with the prior owner of this soccer club. And a lot is on the line. And this rich guy thinks he's pretty good at darts. And so when Ted's willing to make this bet, he just is convinced he's going to win really easily. And so he throws his darts or whatever, and then Ted gets up to throw the darts. And just right from the get-go, you can tell, like, Ted knows his game of darts. Now, Ted's kind of this, lovable but kind of goofy guy, so no one would ever have guessed that he was good at darts. And he starts explaining to this rich guy about being curious instead of judgmental. And it was really impactful because what ultimately happened is Ted had played darts with his dad. And that was like one of the things that was the most important to him in his youth is like every Sunday he and his dad would go and they would play darts. And it like really shaped part of like who he was. And so he was really good at darts. But this rich guy never thought to ask like, could Ted actually be good at darts? This guy who's this goofy, lovable guy, of course he's not going to be good at darts. He wasn't curious enough to ask the questions. He just judged him. And so, I think when we have curiosity about people, when we're genuinely interested in them and we're not just judging them, I think that can actually go a long ways into helping as well if we're interacting with somebody else for them to know that we're not just in it to get something.
Yeah.
Right. And I love that. Sorry, I had to go off on that tangent. I'm a big Ted Lasso fan.
The curiosity side of it, because pulling that back to Elemental, I think that is the core of Ember and Wade's first interactions is elements don't mix. That is a big part of the movie. But Wade was like, but what if we did? And spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, at the end of the movie, Ember and Wade hug and they create steam. But they would never have figured out that actually they can interact and they can meet in the middle if neither of them were curious to learn more about the other. And so I love that curiosity piece.
I think at first, Ember was really judgmental of Wade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that Wade showed really well throughout the story arc of how you can be curious. You don't shut things down and you ask the additional questions or you look into things additionally. And I mean, it can just open up this whole wide world of things that you never realized were possible by that curiosity. That's a great point there. When we're talking about Ember as well, right, one of the things that you mentioned is like Ember was a little bit struggling, right? She's got a lot on her shoulders and she's trying to deal with all these things. What are any other lessons that you have from like her journey of having the struggles that were there to getting her to the end of the movie and, whatever like resolution is there? What lessons can you kind of pull from the journey she had in the struggles to, the conclusion of the show?
Yeah. I think the core of Ember's journey is honesty with yourself. Is Ember had a lot of external pressure put on her from her family and her community of expecting her to come up and take over the shop and continue to grow it when that never made her happy. She was very stressed a lot and it wasn't true to who she was. And I think throughout the movie, you see her go through this journey of self-discovery in a way and re-identifying what she wants and her career path while still having love and understanding and respect for the expectations that were put on her. One thing I loved about this movie is she had the courage to tell her dad, no, I don't want to take over the shop. And he was upset about it at first. But then through a place of love and understanding, she's like, this is not who I am and I'm not happy and going to be successful in this. Let me grow. Let me try something new. And then at the end, he supports her. And I think that is a really cool message. And I think a lot of us can take away the importance of honesty in yourself and knowing who you are, your strengths, your weaknesses. Maybe you aren't meant to be in a customer-facing role. Some people are just not meant to do that. Other people need to be talking to people and interacting. It just all depends on knowing who you are and being able to voice who you are to others.
And what does that connect for you? One of the things we talked about before was that this is like I think you'd said this is like the best Disney or Pixar movie in the last several years, right? Why does that emotionally connect for you? Why that with this show?
I think Elemental for me was the first movie I've seen in a long time that Disney's put out that had a strong female lead who still goes on this journey of self-discovery, but also is open to love and community. Like, not to diss the other movies, and this is a whole other debate we can have another time, but recent years, it's been more about, like, yes, strong, independent, I don't need anybody else. But it's like, actually, no, you're stronger with other people. Other people can help build you up and make you stronger. And I know that's something I believe in personally in my life is I need my community. I need my people who love and support me to help make me a better person and who know me for who I am and see my potential. And I just kind of saw myself in Ember a lot. And then I see Wade in the people in my life and my friends and family and people who love me.
Great thing to pull out, right? Like, it is an important lesson that, like, we can be strong and independent and we can also, like, rely on people. Like, it's okay. It's okay that we don't have all the answers. It's okay that we aren't going to get everything right. And it's okay to sometimes need to cry on somebody else's shoulder or to ask for help. You know, and it's a great point because I think there is this sometimes message out there that, I don't know, especially for women, like, you have to do it on your own. And you don't. Now, you've got to be strong enough to stand up to your dad like Amber does and be like, hey, actually, I don't like this. This is not my thing. Not going to be what I'm going to be successful in. I can't be passionate about it. And that's okay. But then she can also have the people that she can rely on that can help support her in the journey that she's going to go on, because nobody goes on a journey alone. Life is not meant to be lived alone. You know, one of the things that I think is becoming increasingly important, and you mentioned it a little bit earlier, you alluded to it, is in this day and age with more technology, with more people stuck in their phones, with AI and what that's going to do, is there is a premium on, in my mind, friendship, and that connection that we have with friends, that we need to be with people. Like, we're social creatures. That's the way that we're hardwired. We're not meant to go be, you know, individual, all on our own. We never interact with anybody else ever. That's not who we are. We're social creatures. We, even if we're introverts, right, we still ultimately, like, need that sense of connection. And so doing things with other people and having friendships, meaningful friendships, even if there's not a lot, those can be deeply meaningful to us. So I love that takeaway. I love that. Any final thoughts on Elemental?
If you haven't watched Elemental, please go watch it again. It is so good, and I promise you will take something away from it. And yeah, I'm grateful for the people in my life. Like, I'm post-grad, and so my friends are all up in Logan, and I miss them dearly, but our friendships are deep-rooted and genuine, and they're just a short drive away or a phone call away. And yeah, I think friendship at the end of the day and community at the core is what being human's all about. And I'm so excited for the future and what life holds, and I can't wait to make new friends, and it's just exciting. It's never ending.
Love that. So let's move to our next segment, which is our This or That segment. Okay, so this might be highly controversial. So for each one of these, like, gut reaction, you just go with it. Okay? You just go with it. And we may have to have some explanations if you've got some opinions that are a little bit sketchy, all right?
I'm opinionated.
Okay. So here's the first one. Would you rather be water or fire?
Water.
Water. Mm-hmm. Okay, tell me more.
I'm a fish at heart. I grew up in Southern California. I'm a beach baby. I grew up swimming in the ocean, and I was a lifeguard. I was a swim instructor. I did swim team. Water's just a part of who I am.
Love that. Love that. It totally makes sense. Southern California, of course, right? But now you're in Utah, the old landlocked state. I mean, I guess you go swim in the Great Salt Lake. You know, you can get that ocean feel with a bunch of flies and grossness, but smell. But hey, you know, there's always the pool, right?
Yeah, I'll take the pool.
You take the pool for sure. Okay, cry it out like Wade or walk it off like Ember?
Walk it off.
Walk it off. Okay, tell me more.
Every day after work, I go and walk on the treadmill for an hour, half an hour, however long I have, partially because I have a long commute home and I'd like to wait out traffic. But I also think better when I'm walking. But I don't know. As an adult, I cry more. And you know what? I think that's a beautiful thing.
You know, it's a good answer because for me, it's both.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't cry a lot, but there's times where, like, it's just the emotional release that you need. I love the idea of walking it off, though, because for me, I mean, running is what I do. And when I run, there's just this processing that can happen in my brain.
Yeah.
Where I don't have my device that's distracting me or anything else. And it's my time where I can just really think through whatever it is I need to think through. And I sometimes just like, I want to let my mind wander. Mm-hmm. I don't have to go with a particular agenda. Just let it go where it wants to go. And it's been such a nice release when I've found that. So I'm probably a walk it off as well. But look, a good cry is always good. We're recording this right now, and it's pre-Christmas. And every year I have to watch It's a Wonderful Life. Mm-hmm. You seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah. 100 times out of 100 I cry in that movie. Like every time I'll cry. I used to be a little bit ashamed of it. Like I used to like try to hide it, you know, I was watching it or not tell anybody. Now I'm like, I'll fall and embrace it.
Yeah.
Look, I will cry through that movie. Absolutely. I love it so much. I always have to watch it. So crying is totally okay. Okay, here's the next one. Okay. This or that. Disneyland or Disney World?
Disneyland.
Disneyland. Even though you worked at Disney World. Tell me why.
Disneyland, and this was my whole thing during my CP2, is Disneyland is my home park. California Adventure is the best Disney park, in my opinion. It's my favorite. And that also could be a hot take, but I love California Adventure. I've loved it since I was a kid. Disney World will always have a piece of my heart because I spent so much time there and I have such like an insider knowledge of it. And being able to experience Disney World for the first time as an adult was something I will truly never forget. But Disneyland is like, it's a family thing. My grandma, she's the reason I love Disney as much as I do. She went to Disneyland in 1955 when it opened. She has ticket books. She has amazing. The whole thing.
That's amazing. Yeah, for me, it's a little bit the same. Like, I grew up going to Disneyland. I didn't go to Disney World till I was an adult. So I always have a nostalgia that will exist with Disneyland that can't exist at any other park because of that. I also remember when California Adventure opened. Mm-hmm. Right, I'm that old, right? I remember. And I do love me some Disney California Adventure. There's something about it. And I watched this special the other day on Disney Plus about the Imagineers. And they were talking about during the time where Bob Iger was having to make some pretty big bets on things. Because Disney California Adventure was not overly popular when it first was opened. Mm-hmm. And it didn't have a heart. Like, it was just like there were some rides and they were fun, but it didn't have the heart and soul that Disneyland had. And once they made some decisions to add in some additional things like Cars Land and to create a little bit more heart to it, that just made this huge difference. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh man, it's true because I connect with California Adventure. Like when I go there, I want to go to both parks because I can't not go to Disneyland. But if I'm like, I have 3 days, I'm doing 2 at California Adventure because I love Cars at Guardians of the Galaxy there. My favorite ride there.
Amazing.
Just love it. You got Spider-Man now, which is fantastic with Avengers Campus there, and they're doing some additional things they're going to add there. Love the change on California Screamin' to Incredicoaster.
That is one of the best re-themes. That and I think Guardians are 2 of the best Disney re-themes that have ever been done.
Were you nervous on the re-theme for Tower of Terror? Were you nervous? I was.
I was a kid.
Oh, you were so small.
I didn't understand it.
It was probably scary.
It was. I didn't go on Tower of Terror as a kid.
Yes, it's frightening.
Guardians is one of my, and I also am biased. I love the Guardians of the Galaxy in general.
Of course.
So.
I was nervous.
Yeah.
Because Tower of Terror was amazing, right? Yeah. There was no ride like it. Mm-hmm. And so I remember going there and I just thought that was like the greatest ride. It was absolutely my favorite. I loved the beginning part of the Twilight Zone, right, where they brought in the original host and like not brought him in, but like used footage to create that. And oh man, I just loved it. And I was like, oh, I can't believe they're going to ruin it. So I was so nervous. And then I remember going, and they made it so fun. And it is, because Guardians of the Galaxy is just fun. Chris Pratt is freaking hilarious. He's amazing.
I love Chris Pratt.
And so once they rethemed it and I win, I was like, okay, they did it right. They did me right. Got rid of something I love, but boy, they found something even better that they created. And now it's just such a great, even greater ride now.
Yeah, in oh, what's his name? I think it's Joe Rohde is the name of the Imagineer who did the re-theme. He is also responsible for Animal Kingdom. So, Disney nerd fun fact for you.
Yeah.
He's a Disney legend. He is phenomenal in what he does.
There's some great things in Animal Kingdom. Because I just got back from Disney World. Man, I'll tell you, the Avatar ride there, where you're on the back of a Banshee.
Unreal.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. One of the things I think, too, with both Incredicoaster and Soarin' and Avatar that they've done really nicely is they bring in the scents. So you get that sensory experience with the smells as well, which just does so much to enhance what the experience is on some of these rides.
Which
Phenomenal.
is Walt at its core. Walt wanted people smelling popcorn as he walked down Main Street, sweets out of the candy shop.
Yeah, he was very deliberate in creating the experience and making sure that people were funneled through Main Street. That they saw the castle as they first walked in, right? And have that experience that he curated for them. Yeah, it's Walt at his core. Mm-hmm. Okay, Pixar or Walt Disney Studios?
Walt Disney Studios.
Okay.
I hesitated on that.
It's a hard one. There's some great Pixar stuff.
But Pixar at its core is a separate thing. Mm-hmm. Walt Disney Studios is tried and true, traditional. Walt Disney did it himself, him and Roy. When I worked at Disney World, it was a really odd time. It was the 50th celebration of Walt Disney World. They celebrated it for 3 years, and I was at the tail end of the 50th celebration. But also while I was there, it was the 100-year celebration of Walt Disney Studios. And so there was a ton of just history and lore that I got to learn about throughout my time there. And so I think I have a lot of respect and admiration for everything that he did to keep that studio afloat. It's incredible.
No doubt. And his belief that what he had would work. He didn't sell Mickey when he had offers to sell Mickey. Yeah. And stuck with it and created something really amazing. Okay, here's our rapid fire, and then we'll end. Favorite Disney movie?
Frozen.
Ooh, okay. Favorite Disney song?
Gosh, I'm going to say Show Yourself, Frozen 2.
Wow. My wife has a similar thought. Okay, now that's favorite Disney song. How about this? Best Disney song.
Best Disney song.
Because it's different.
It is.
It doesn't have to be different. It could be the same answer, but...
Best Disney song. It might have to be Beauty and the Beast.
Okay, Tale as Old as Time.
Tale as Old as Time.
With Angela Lansbury singing it? You're going back. You're going to that one. You're not going to live action one.
Yep. It's just so nostalgic and magical and beautiful storytelling. And I think that's everything that Disney is.
It's fair. Favorite Disney princess?
Anna.
Favorite Disney prince?
Kristoff.
Okay, we'll call because we'll call him a prince.
Kristoff or Prince Eric. My Ariel's my other favorite princess. I can never. It rotates between my top three of Anna, Ariel, and Tiana. Those are my top three. Those are my girls.
Those are good ones. Favorite Disney villain?
My favorite Disney villain, Hades.
Hades from Hercules. Yeah. It's a good one.
He's witty. He's funny.
Yeah, true.
Hercules, I think is one of the best Disney movies of all time as well. And it's slept on. It was kind of snuck through the cracks, but Hercules and Tarzan are two of the best soundtracks, and I'll stand by that.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, I think I just rewatched Hercules with my kids a couple of weeks ago, and it reminded me that I just really do enjoy it. It's a really good one. And Hades is a good villain. He is good. That's a good movie. Okay, closing reflection. Give me a takeaway that somebody could walk away with a practical application of being more emotionally intelligent or having clear communication.
I'd say the one thing I would say is take a second with yourself and be like, what am I good at? And ask the people in your life. Call your mom, call your friends, call your ex, I don't know, and say, what am I good at? What do you think are my biggest strengths? I had to do a project like that in school, and it was really cool to see the people in my life who I look up to, see them say good things about me, and I was able to be like, yes, I agree with that. I am good at that. And own, I'm awesome in my own way. It's a really cool thing to hear what other people admire about you, and then it's a confidence boost in yourself. And then, other side of the coin, you need to sit down and be like, what am I not as good at? What are my weaknesses that I'm aware of? And how can I be prepared for when those weaknesses arise? It's a matter of just taking a second, and maybe you need to go on a little hot girl walk. that's okay. We love those. And
Maybe a
just
little
take a
walk.
second
For sure.
and think about it.
Love that. It's a great takeaway. So thank you so much for being with us today, sharing your experiences that you had both in the Disney College program, in college itself, in your current role. Loved hearing your thoughts about emotional intelligence, about Elemental, which is genuinely, it's a terrific movie. So appreciate you. And thank you for joining us here at Yes and Land, where we honor the real story you're living, the struggles you're going through, and invite you to the next chapter that should be filled with hope and possibility and finding joy in the journey. Thanks.